So one of the assessments that I use with my students to identify career cluster interests is the Reading Free Vocational Interest Inventory 2. And this inventory is a picture-based inventory that allows students to choose jobs or vocational activities that look most appealing to them. And then I score it using the manual based on their age and their level of disability. And so if you go through, the pictures that they use are black and white line drawings of just various vocational activities. There are several different career clusters represented, anything from mechanical work, package handling, laundry service, personal care handling, food service handling, and just a number of different careers that students might be interested in. I use this assessment every year with a majority of my students. It is something that can be used by most students who just don't have the reading skills or communication skills to do other career cluster interest inventories. The few students I have that are unable to use it generally just don't have the cognitive awareness to participate in this activity, and so we use other assessments for their daily living skills and things like that. Overall, I find this to be a fairly decent assessment to get a general idea of career cluster interest. However, I do have some issues with it. The line drawings are kind of abstract, so a lot of my students struggle with understanding what's happening. Also, some of the drawings are a little out of date. They're using technology that's changed, or it's for careers that people don't necessarily do quite as much, or that my students just aren't exposed to anymore. And so that's the biggest complaint I have about this assessment, but overall it does what I need it to do. So to administer this assessment, the basic way to do it is to just have the students go through, and for each question, there are 3 images that they can select from, and they just circle the one that they think is best. I have some students that can do this independently. They just go through, they circle the ones, one out of each section that they like the best, and then I can go through and score it later. Some of my students need a little help understanding what's going on, so I can sit with them and describe what's happening in the pictures, and that can help them identify if that's something that they'd be interested in doing. And so for the most part, I am able to administer it just like this. For some of my students, it's hard for them to make a choice between 3, or they may find all these different pictures on one page too distracting. They may not have the skills to just simply point to a picture, or if they have autism, a lot of them will just choose the last one every time. And so for those students, I have some different ways that I administer this test. So one of the ways that I use is I have cut out and laminated the cards, or the pictures for each one, and I have them divided in a little box here by the number, and then within each section I have the 3 pictures that we would use. And so for my students who have autism, I might lay these out. I'm going to kind of show you on the table. I might lay out the pictures, and I might put them in a straight line. I might rearrange the order of them. I might even kind of lay them in more of a circle format, or not in a straight line, so that they're not just choosing the last one every time. If I have a student who struggles with making a choice between 3 different things, I might just start with 2, let them choose the one that they like best, remove the other option, and then put the other one out and let them choose between those 2. And so this has allowed me to really get past some of those communication barriers or participation barriers I might have administering this test. Another thing that I've had to implement recently is using my smartboard. Now the lighting in here makes it a little difficult to see, but on my smartboard I have question 1 on here, and I have the 3 images posted up here that were on that question. This is great for students who have visual impairment that need it to be large so they can see it on a much bigger screen, and it also helps with engagement. I have some students that just aren't engaged by paper task. And having it electronically increases their participation. So on this, I could put all 3 of these on the smartboard and the student could point to it. They could take the pen and circle it. They could basically choose their answer in a variety of formats. So I have found that just mixing up the way that I administer this test has really increased accuracy and has made it a much more relevant assessment for identifying career cluster interests.